Hello and welcome to the 5th guide of this Rust Console Edition series. Today we're going to break down the most popular methods used by seasoned PC players to collect scrap for crafting and learning blueprints. It's time to share these tips with console gamers too. So if you're new to Rust or you're looking for ideas to step up your game, subscribe now to stay up to date with this guide series. Let's get started. Although there are many scrap collecting methods, there are only a few that truly change the game very fast. I must warn you though, some of these methods require you to make huge sacrifices, so tweak these methods to what works best for you. When you're new to a server, you have the standard blueprints we all get, which is enough to keep you entertained and motivated for a little while, but soon enough you're going to realize that you're going to need more. And as you continue to progress, you start to notice that there are a lot of items that are completely useless to you without the proper blueprints, which is why the first thing that you need to do is detach yourself from the idea that you have to hoard these items inside a base. On the contrary, all of the items you collect can be taken to a recycler where you can collect a lot more scrap from them and put them to good use instead of hoarding them. I know it sounds crazy to scrap every single item you get, but think about this. You collect a lot of loot from crates and barrels, and you hoarded it, even though it's absolutely useless without the blueprint. You have so many items, you feel really mighty. The next day you wake up to a raided base, and now you have no loot, no base, and no blueprints. And all of that work and hours of looting are going to be for absolutely nothing. So instead, try this. Get the workbenches tiers 1 and 2, along with a research table. You literally have zero use for these items, so scrap them all at the very beginning. Or don't. That's just a very strong suggestion so you can get your blueprints fast. But you do whatever you want, right? But the truth is that you can cut down weeks of work into just hours when you focus on this method. When you get enough blueprints, you start making balance between how much gets scrapped. But at the very beginning, for the first few hours until you get a first weapon or something like that that is actually useful to you, scrap it all. Now you have to decide how to spend all of your scrap. You have a few options. Sometimes you can find basic blueprints in barrels, crates, and just when you're out in the world, but those are not going to be good blueprints. They're just going to be standard. You can gather 75 scrap or 300 scrap and let the dice roll to see what you get when you run an experiment on a workbench. Personally, I do not use the workbench method because I don't like the randomness. It goes a lot of work into getting the scrap and not know what you're going to get. I'm not down for that. PC gamers have access to a tech tree which allows them to follow a path through the workbench to get very specific blueprints. Console gamers, on the other hand, are playing an older version of the game where this is not yet available, but that may change in the near future, and if it does, I'll make sure to make a new guide and update this information. So to catch that guide, make sure to subscribe now. Not having access to the tech tree sends me back to the best method of all, the research table. You put in an item, it tells you how much scrap you need, you pay up the piper, and boom, you learn the blueprint. The downside to this is that you have to physically bring the item to the research table, which can be a challenge for some players. I see it as an upside because all of the items that I want are in the pockets of my enemies, and I love stealing loot. I get my loot from fallen victims and supply drops. You can find guns and ammo inside the supply crates, and if you find one, don't be reckless with it. Go back to your base, put it in the research table, and try to learn it so you can craft a weapon at any time. I really can't tell you how to spend your scrap. I take into account the amount of scrap, I divide it by the amount of items that I have, plus I check the item's priority, and that's going to give me a result. But before that, to summarize, get the workbenches that you need with a research table as well, so you can learn the blueprints. Kill players and collect supply drops, and you'll decide when to start making balance between how much loot is getting scrapped and how much loot is being used for crafting. But you have to get those blueprints first. So now go. I send you off into the world with this information. Now you come back to my Discord and send me your clips so I can see your progress. And also remember to subscribe so you can catch the next guide. I think it's going to help you out. Catch you on the next one.